You're a bad man. You're a very bad man. And you keep thinking bad thoughts about me. He was a bad man, so I turned him into a jack-in-the-box. A jack-in-the-box that still had his bad face.
The Twilight Zone changed television forever, but its own story is stranger than its episodes. Did you know one episode was banned from TV for 52 years? Or that the entire series was born as revenge against censorship? 15 facts, starting with the ones they buried. Number 15, the banned episode. Gone for 52 years. Let's start with the episode television refused to show. The Encounter, aired May 1st, 1964, locks two men in an attic, a bigoted World War II veteran and a young Japanese-American gardener, played by George Takei 2 years before Star Trek. A cursed samurai sword traps them together, and buried wartime guilt, racism, and shame boil over into a fatal confrontation. The reaction was immediate. Complaints poured in, particularly over its treatment of Japanese Americans, and a false implication about Pearl Harbor sabotage. CBS pulled the episode from summer reruns, then dropped it from the syndication package entirely. And then it stayed gone for 52 years. While every other episode looped endlessly in marathons, The Encounter didn't return to American broadcast television until January 3, 2016, when Sci-Fi finally aired it. One of television's boldest shows had a hidden ceiling, and this episode is where it hit. Number 14, the entire show is revenge against censorship. The Twilight Zone exists because Rod Serling was silenced. In 1955, the murder of Emmett Till and his killer's acquittal compelled Serling to write about American racism directly. The result, Noon on Doomsday, was destroyed by sponsors. Roughly 15,000 protest letters arrived. The script was picked over by 30 different people. The black victim became an unknown foreigner. The southern setting moved to New England. Censors even removed Coca-Cola bottles for seeming too southern. His second attempt, A Town Has Turned to Dust, was shoved a century into the past and stripped of race entirely. Serling drew the lesson that changed television. A Martian could say what a senator couldn't. Cloak the message in fantasy, and the censors applaud instead of cutting. Every alien, every twist, every strange little town in the Twilight Zone is camouflage. The disguise one furious writer built so the truth could finally get past the sponsors. Number 13, Lucille Ball's company saved it from the vault. The Twilight Zone was dead on arrival. CBS bought Serling's first script, The Time Element, and promptly shelved it. Executives simply didn't see the potential. The rescue came from television royalty. DC Arnaz, Lucille Ball's husband and partner in Desilu, was hunting for prestige material for his anthology series, The Westinghouse Desilu Playhouse. Discovering an unused Serling script sitting in the network's vault, he put it into production, and The Time Element aired on November the 24th, 1958. A man's recurring dream keeps returning him to Honolulu on the eve of Pearl Harbor. It had everything: the narration, the fantasy premise, the gut punch twist. The audience response was overwhelming. Mail flooded in, and a startled CBS reconsidered the strange little idea it had buried. The Twilight Zone premiered the following fall. Without Daisy Arnaz digging through a vault, the fifth dimension might have stayed locked in it. Number 12, Orson Welles was almost the narrator. That voice, the calm, clipped herald of the fifth dimension, was nearly someone else entirely. For the crucial role of narrator, the production wanted the most famous voice in America. Orson Welles, the man whose War of the Worlds broadcast had already convinced the nation that fiction was fact. There was even a second candidate, radio veteran Westbrook Van Voorhis, who recorded the original pilot narration but sounded too pompous for the material. Welles, for his part, proved too expensive. So, almost by default, the writer stepped in front of the microphone himself. And an accident became an icon. Serling's tight, urgent delivery made him the face of his own anxieties, though he stayed off camera for the entire first season. Those famous walk-on appearances only began in season 2. The most imitated narrator in television history got the job because the legend they wanted cost too much. Number 11. The famous theme isn't the original theme Hum the Twilight Zone theme, that nervous, twanging dee-dee-dee-dee riff. Season 1 never played it. The show's original opening was composed by Bernard Herrmann, the titan behind Citizen Kane, Psycho, and as fans of this channel know, The Day the Earth Stood Still. A moody, drifting piece of orchestral unease. When CBS wanted something more startling for Season 2, the solution came from the network's stock music library. French avant-garde composer Marius Constant had written a batch of short library cues for CBS as work for hire. Quick, strange fragments never intended as anyone's theme song. 2 of them, stitched together, became the most recognizable 11 notes in television history. Constant Ahides had composed the immortal riff for a modest flat fee as disposable filler. One of the most famous themes ever heard was, quite literally, assembled from spare parts found in a cabinet. A twist ending worthy of the show itself. Number 10. Serling wrote 92 episodes by talking to a machine. The workload behind this series remains almost unbelievable. Of the Twilight Zone's 156 episodes, Rod Serling wrote 92 himself, while also serving as executive producer, showrunner, salesman, and on-screen host. His method was pure momentum. Serling dictated his scripts into a recording machine, pacing, acting out the parts, spinning entire episodes aloud for a secretary to transcribe. He worked brutal hours, sometimes 16 to 18 a day, and fueled it all with a habit that would eventually help kill him. 3 to 4 packs of cigarettes daily, one often burning in the frame of his hosting segments. Colleagues described a man who couldn't stop, a writing engine running hot for 5 straight seasons. The smooth, composed figure who welcomed you to the 5th dimension each week was, in reality, one of the most overworked men in Hollywood, narrating the cracks in American life while quietly burning through his own. Number 9. CBS shot 6 episodes like a soap opera to save money. For all its prestige, The Twilight Zone was constantly squeezed for cash. And Season 2 contains the scars to prove it. Facing budget overruns, CBS ordered 6 episodes shot not on film, but on videotape, the cheap medium of soap operas and game shows. The savings were real but modest. The cost to the show's look was devastating. Videotape couldn't leave the studio, so stories were confined to cramped interior sets, and the harsh, flat image stripped away the moody cinematic shadows that were half the show's identity. Everyone hated the results, and the experiment was quietly abandoned. The network kept tinkering anyway. Season 4 stretched episodes to a full hour, an experiment most fans and critics judged bloated, proving the show's magic lived in its tight half-hour sting. The lesson from both failures is the same. The Twilight Zone wasn't just stories, it was atmosphere. And atmosphere wasn't cheap. A brief pause between dimensions. If this journey is earning it, hit like and subscribe, because we dig up stories like this every week. Now, stay close because next, the 3 episodes that legally ceased to exist. Number 8. 3 more episodes vanished because of lawsuits. The Encounter wasn't the only episode to disappear. For decades, the syndication package was quietly missing 3 more. Miniature, Sounds and Silences, and A Short Drink from a Certain Fountain. Withdrawn not for controversy, but over legal disputes, including plagiarism claims from writers alleging the stories resembled their submissions. Together with The Encounter, they became known among fans as the 4 lost episodes, phantom entries in the episode guide that reruns simply skipped unseen by an entire generation. Miniature is The Great Casualty, a tender story starring a young Robert Duvall as a lonely man, in love with the living doll inside a museum dollhouse, It's now considered one of the underrated gems of the hour-long season. Yet it sat in legal limbo until the 1980s, and full circulation only came with home video. In the Twilight Zone, people vanish mysteriously. Behind the scenes, lawyers did it. Number 7. One episode has a laugh track. Here's a sentence that shouldn't exist. There is a Twilight Zone episode with a laugh track. Cavender is Coming, from 1962, stars a young Carol Burnett as a klutzy usherette assigned a bumbling guardian angel. And when it aired, canned laughter chuckled along over the fifth dimension. The reason? It was a stealth pilot. The episode was designed as a tryout for a potential sitcom spin-off about the angel Cavender. So CBS dressed it in full sitcom costume, laugh track included. Audiences were baffled, the sitcom never sold, and the laughter was stripped from the episode in later releases, making the original broadcast version a genuine oddity. Serling had pragmatic reasons to try. Pilots meant money, and the show always needed money. But for one strange evening in 1962, television's Cathedral of Dread came with a studio audience giggling in the rafters. The eeriest sound the series ever produced. Number 6. A secret casting directory of future superstars. Before Hollywood knew their names, they all passed through the fifth dimension. Robert Redford played Death itself, gently courting a frightened old woman. Robert Duvall fell in love with a doll. Charles Bronson and Elizabeth Montgomery were the last two enemies on Earth. Dennis Hopper played a young neo-Nazi coached by Hitler's ghost. Burt Reynolds did a Brando parody. Peter Falk played a Castro-like dictator. Little Ron Howard appeared fresh off Opie, and Bill Mumy became the most terrifying child in TV history. Add the future captains of the Enterprise, William Shatner twice, most famously at 20,000 feet, and George Takei in the band Encounter, and the show doubles as a yearbook of stars in waiting. The casting eye was so sharp that a Twilight Zone marathon now plays like a parade of legends auditioning for their futures. The show about ordinary people was quietly stocked with extraordinary ones. Number 5. The scariest episode came from The Man from Earth's writer. If you've seen our video on The Man from Earth, this name will ring loudly. Jerome Bixby. The 1953 short story behind It's a Good Life, routinely ranked among the greatest and most terrifying Twilight Zone episodes ever, was his. 6-year-old Anthony Fremont, who reads minds, reshapes reality, and wishes displeasing neighbors into the cornfield, while grown adults grin through their terror and repeat that everything he does is good. No monster in the series ever matched that smiling little boy, and Bixby's fingerprints spread far beyond one episode. He later invented Star Trek's Mirror Universe in Mirror Mirror, co-conceived Fantastic Voyage, and, dictating from his deathbed, finished The Man from Earth. The Simpsons famously parodied It's a Good Life, cementing it in pop culture forever. One quiet writer, 4 franchises, and the single most frightening child ever put on television. It's a good life indeed. Number 4. Serling thought he invented the name. He didn't. Where does the title come from? Rod Serling's own account is a perfect little twist ending. He claimed he simply made the phrase up. I thought I'd made it up, he admitted, only to discover afterward that it already existed. Air Force pilots used Twilight Zone for a very real phenomenon. The disorienting moment when a flyer loses sight of the horizon and can no longer tell up from down. Serling, a decorated World War II paratrooper, may well have absorbed the term during the war without remembering. Accounts differ on whether he'd heard it and forgotten or coined it in genuine parallel. Either way, the accident is poetry. The show's name literally means the point where human perception fails, where you can't trust what you see. Serling reached into his subconscious for a title and pulled out the perfect description of every episode he would ever write. Number 3, Serling sold the Twilight Zone and lost his empire. Here's the fact that stings. After the series ended in 1964, Rod Serling sold his share of the Twilight Zone's rights to CBS. By most accounts, he doubted the show's long-term rerun value. Conventional wisdom then held that old episodes were nearly worthless. And the money was real and immediate. It stands today as one of the most infamous bargains in television history. The Twilight Zone became an immortal syndication machine. Endless marathons, home video, streaming, remakes, merchandise, generating fortunes for decades, none of it flowing to the man who created 92 of its episodes. Serling spent his final years working constantly, hosting Night Gallery, teaching, doing commercials. Partly because the empire he built no longer paid him. The show's cruelest irony wasn't in any script. The master of the twist ending never saw the twist coming in his own contract. Number 2. I just want them to say he was a writer. Rod Serling burned out fast. The cigarettes, 3 to 4 packs a day, decades deep, caught him in May 1975. A heart attack, then another, then open heart surgery that June, during which he suffered a final heart attack and died. He was 50 years old. He'd spent his last years far from Hollywood's center, teaching writing at Ithaca College, where students remember a generous, unpretentious mentor still fighting for the medium he believed could ennoble people. In one of his final interviews, asked how he wanted to be remembered, Serling gave an answer of devastating simplicity. I just want them to say 60 years from now that he was a writer. 60 years have come and gone. He is remembered as vastly more moral conscience, television's greatest dramatist, the man in the black suit. But the epitaph he asked for holds. First, last, and always, a writer. Number 1. The show became a permanent part of the language measure. The Twilight Zone's legacy, and you run out of comparisons. 156 episodes, Emmy after Emmy for Serling's writing, and a title that left television entirely. Twilight Zone now sits in dictionaries as an English idiom for any zone of unreality. The rarest achievement fiction can claim. Its DNA is everywhere. Black Mirror is openly its heir. Stranger Things, The X-Files, and countless twist-driven films descend from it. Jordan Peele, who calls the show a foundational influence, resurrected it in 2019, stepping into Serling's narrator role himself. The annual New Year's marathons have become an American ritual, and critics routinely rank it among the greatest television series ever made. Not bad for a censored writer's workaround. Rudgast, Serling built a place where the truth could hide in plain sight. And 65 years later, we still haven't found the exit. We stopped looking. Maybe that's the show's final twist. The Twilight Zone was never about another dimension. Every alien invasion was a mirror. Every strange little town was ours. Serling used monsters to say what sponsors forbade. That prejudice, conformity, and fear are homegrown, that the maple streets of America can turn on themselves with the lights out. The fifth dimension was a smuggling route for the truth. And the reason those episodes still land, generation after generation, is uncomfortable and simple. The address never changed. The Twilight Zone is here. It always was. Those were 15 facts most fans have never heard about the Twilight Zone. Which one got you? The episode banned for 52 years? Or Serling selling his own show? Submit your answer for approval in the comments. If this earned it, hit like, subscribe, and send it to someone who still won't sit in a window seat at 20,000 feet. Until next time, mind the signpost up ahead.